Every time a big political or current event happens, the internet blows up, right? Comment sections turn into fights, hot takes are everywhere, people are yelling loudly for whatever's happening, loudly against whatever's happening. And because it's social media, there's a distinct lack of nuance or middle ground, right? And if you are a small business owner, this question creeps in. Should I post about this? Should I comment on it? Should I stay quiet? What's the right move here? It's really stressful. You don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to lose followers, but ignoring it doesn't feel right either. And it feels like no matter what you do, someone is going to have an opinion about it. In this week's episode of Mompreneur Mastery, we are talking about whether you should or shouldn't share political types of posts for your online business. Welcome to Mompreneur Mastery, the place where we ditch the mean girl marketing, stop performing for the algorithm, and finally move past those generic, "Is this you?" pain points. I'm your host, Sydney O'Brien, homeschooling mom of 3, military spouse, and content marketing and messaging strategist who knows your business deserves way more than the content hamster wheel. I built my own business between phonics lessons, surprise deployments, and endless "Mom, I need you" moments, so I know exactly how to create marketing that works in the cracks of your real mom life. Around here, we're not chasing trends just for the sake of it, or faking urgency or income claims to trick people into buying. We are going to get laser clear on your message, build real trust with the right people, and create content that sells without you having to sell your soul or your sanity. If you're ready for a strategy that's connection first, fluff free, and built to fit your actual life, you're in the right place. First, I want to acknowledge that this can feel extra heavy or extra hard, especially most of us being raised, told like, oh, we don't talk about politics. They're just things we don't discuss. It's rude. It's not okay. Maybe you feel it's unprofessional. Maybe you feel it doesn't make sense, because it's so far off of your normal business content. Maybe you're scared of the backlash, scared of losing followers, scared of getting angry comments, all types of things. So when you're sitting there and you're watching the news, listening to it and thinking, do I post about this? Do I not post about this? I want you to remember it's really not just about one caption. It's about the pressure and the assumptions that come with it. People are going to read into it either way, and that's what makes the whole thing feel a lot bigger than just one post. One of the most common things I hear is businesses shouldn't be posting about politics. And I want to stress here, business is political. My audience is mostly mom business owners. Parenting is political. Everything in your life somehow goes back to politics, right? That doesn't mean you have to hop on every single headline and post about it or any, but it does mean the way you run your business is never neutral. If you think about the way you price your services, that can show what you believe about accessibility. I've been seeing more and more people having like sliding scale pricing, and I love that. That's a great example of being accessible in your pricing and showing your values through that part of your business. Think about how you address your audience in your content. Is it inclusive? Is it not? Or the examples you use in your content could send a signal about who you think belongs in your audience. The people you hire, the people you collaborate with, the people you work with also can say a lot about your values. Even choosing to stay quiet is a choice. Neutrality communicates something as well. Before we get into whether you should or should not make political posts, I want to share a very quick story. I have done this many times because it felt right for me and my values. Even just yesterday, I shared a post about Charlie Kirk after he was killed. And I said two things. I said, I condemn gun violence. Nobody deserves to die that way. And I also said I was not going to mourn someone who built his platform and his wealth spreading so much hate and bigotry. Within less than a day, 23 people had unfollowed me on Instagram. And I know that is one of the things people are concerned about if they make these kinds of posts, if they're feeling like maybe they should do it. Losing followers is a big concern. And if that is you, I want you to definitely hear this next part because instead of worrying or spiraling out, I treated this as clarity. You will never catch me saying having a big follower count is important. I always say having the right followers is much more important. And that's all this is. I actually ended up donating $5 for every unfollow, split between several different nonprofits, Everytown, the Trevor Project, World Central Kitchen, and Planned Parenthood, organizations that reflect the values I want to stand on. And then something really, really cool happened that I did not anticipate. And two other business owners, after seeing me talk about this in my stories, reached out and said they were also going to make donations because of my post, because of my stories talking about what I was going to do. And then another friend today, a business friend, said she was going to run a special promotion where proceeds from one of her offers was going to all be donated to a nonprofit organization. So this ripple effect really reminded me of what community actually is, because I am always very much about creating community in the online space. And it's not about numbers. It's not about vanity metrics. It's about shared values in action. It's about people seeing your content and saying, I see you, I hear you, I'm with you. And that's what sharing your values in your content does. It's really a filter, right? The right people stepping out, that is clarity. The right people leaning in, that's connection. This isn't just about politics either. Like, this isn't just about the posts you share when big events happen. This is in your everyday messaging. The words you use, the stories you share, the way you talk about your offers, they all send signals. People decide whether they're in or out based on that. And it's not a failure if they're not in. That's just filtering out the people that are not in alignment with your work and your message and your values. We get so caught up in vanity metrics and follower counts and email list size and podcast downloads, but those are just numbers. Real community, the thing that we're striving for as we work towards having connection-based marketing, is the people who stay because they believe in what you're about. The people who act with you, the people that support you, the people that amplify your message, the people that work with you, that refer you, all of those. And that's why I love when businesses are so clear about their values. As both a consumer and as a business owner, it helps me decide who I want to buy from, who I want to collaborate with, even who I want to follow on social media. So how do you actually do this? How do you make sure your values show up without waiting for a major headline that you may or may not want to post about? It shows up in your language. Think about the words you use. Are they inclusive? Do they match the kind of community you want to build? It shows up in the stories you share in your content. Even small ones can highlight what matters to you. It can show up even in like the random Instagram stories or like branding photos you have. As an example, I have stickers on my laptop that very clearly show my values. It can even show up in your offers, the way you design them, the way you price them, the way you make sure they're accessible or not. That often ties back to your values and also your interactions. Think about how you show up in comments. If you're, sharing threads, replying to threads, sending DMs, showing up in stories, replying to other people's stories, that can often show your values without you even thinking about it. And a key thing to remember here is values don't have to be loud to be clear, but they should be visible. That way, when you do post something bigger, it doesn't feel random. Again, if you want to post something bigger. Values kind of show up in your business, whether you plan for it or not, in a lot of ways. As an example, if you are not brand stinking new here, I primarily work with mom business owners. That's my general audience. Lots of people find me who are, and I am so happy to work with them. But my target audience is mom business owners because when I started my business, I had 3 kids under 4. And I was a stay-at-home mom. And I was a stay-at-home mom because childcare would have cost more than our mortgage, more than I would have made at my job. Staying home was the only option that made sense. And that's political. Parenting is political because there could be systems that are more supportive of parents and families in place, but there aren't. So many moms are in the same spot. Some want to be home and some don't, but either way, childcare can be really out of reach, especially if you have a lot of young kids that aren't old enough for the school system yet. And that really shaped my values in my business. I really wanted to help moms build something flexible and profitable so they could support their families financially while still being able to be present for their families physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? So that shows up in my everyday messaging, that shows up on my sales pages, that shows up in how I craft my offers when I try to make it super accessible for moms who I know have very small spurts of time to actually get work done. Because I know what it feels like to be in the thick of it and wanting to be able to support your family financially, but also be with them during the day as well. So when I say everything is political, I mean it. Even parenting, so many aspects of parenting, even the way I've structured my business. My values aren't just something I post about. They're the foundation of how I run my business. And I am willing to bet, even if you haven't thought about it or done it consciously, it's the same for you in your business, right? So given all of that, should you post about politics or current events? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There's no single right answer. It depends on the person and the business. What really matters is that your values are consistent and clear in your messaging and in your business, because people don't really buy just a product or a service, especially now where buyers are much, much more informed and they need so much more connection and trust before making any kind of investment. They're buying into you, into your perspective, into the values you're portraying in your messaging, in your business, in your offers, in the community you are creating in the online space. So instead of only asking, should I post about this headline? Try asking, how do I want my values to show up in my business? And if that means posting about that headline, do it. Go for it. But if this is not something you have considered before you create your next piece of content, I want you to pick one value that you have and think about how you have presented it in your business so far, and try and find a way to present it more clearly and more intentionally so that you are attracting your absolute aligned followers. It doesn't have to be loud. We're just looking for intention here, okay? That clarity is what builds connection and trust and makes sure the people you are attracting to your audience and your online space are super aligned with you and your work. Because clarity builds trust, trust builds community, and community is worth so much more than a follower count or a number of certain podcast downloads or email subscribers. And if you are not sure how to do this, I would love it if you would send me a DM on Instagram and we can find a way to do it together. Because as I have been saying the past couple of episodes, messaging really is the foundation of all of your marketing. And it has to be so clear if you want your marketing to work the way it's supposed to. And your values are going to end up being a big part of that. Whether they're small or big political things, it's going to show up regardless. And I want to make sure we're doing it intentionally. And if you're really still feeling kind of iffy about using your voice in your content, in your business, how you're showing up there, I really encourage you to listen to last week's episode of Mompreneur Mastery, because I had a really great conversation with Caroline Hull about just that. She helped me a lot with it in my business and so many other people. So head back to last week and give it a listen. And if you need help finding a way to weave that into your content, send me a message on Instagram. I am at sydneyobrien.co.